Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to JRC in a minute, but first the disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to see pertinent links in the description box. We have Autistic Hoya's massive archive, where we get the bulk of the information that we have in regards to the JRC. We got Neuroplastic's article. You remember the one. They interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Got under JRC's skin so bad they threatened them with a defamation lawsuit if they didn't remove it from their website. Neuroplastic refused, so please read the article. Share on all your social media. We got Neuroplastic's GoFundMe also linked in there because unlike the JRC, we do not have access to unlimited sums of money. To the trigger warnings. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people's mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is advised. On to the next nonsensical sentence, shall we? Okay, so we got past all the programs. These programs also pretended to protect SAS from slapping and punching her own head and face by instituting one-on-one paraprofessional support and implementing protective equipment and restraints. In any of that time, was there any time spent by direct care staff or otherwise to get to the bottom of why they were hitting themselves in the face? I mean, I don't get a good feeling that that was done, considering they used the wrong form of analysis to get to the bottom of it. Observational analysis only helps so far. You're going based off of your own hunches from what you observe. You could be, and I hate to say it, neurotypicals, 9 times out of 10, your hypothesis in regards to what is triggering the behavior when you actually deign to ask us about it is usually 100% wrong. I was asked 3 different times when I was showing a behavior whether I was trying to get anybody's attention and whether I was utilizing to get something out of it. It was no every time. I'd always look perplexed. Until my case manager, bless you Paula, wherever you are, asked the more pertinent question. Right before that behavior, what's going on in your head? Like, what is the process there? What were you thinking of, like, right before then? Sometimes I would be able to tell them what was going on in my head. Sometimes it was a reaction to extreme sensory issues. Which, because they asked what was going on in my head, what was disturbing me beforehand, they were able to discover that no, the triggers were not that I was trying to get anyone's attention. They actually were able to wrap their brains around the concept that the last thing I want, when the not fun side of my diagnosis shows itself, is anybody's attention. 9 times out of 10, when those types of behaviors show up out of me, I try to fucking hide. Just putting it out there. I would try to hide. These are not parts of myself I feel like I need to display to the public. It is very much staring at the floor and wishing for it to swallow me whole. We, neurotypical, neurodivergent, have all had that feeling, right? Yeah. And I've explained, a lot of times, I did have I used to call it iron control, but what it really was I had very good endurance for how long I can hold a mask. When those behaviors did pop out, they were involuntary. It was like a third person outside of myself watching the behavior happen, yet not being able to do anything about it. So them asking what preceded it help us get down to what those triggers were. Not only did it help in overall treating with my autistic issues, it also laid bare the fact that I did need to get some testing for PTSD, clinical depression, and severe anxiety disorder. Wouldn't you know it? If you pair observation with interview and proper conversations, you're more likely to get to the bottom of where the issues lie. Once you have that, you've got yourself a roadmap. You've got a direction to go in, right? Exactly. So continuing with this line of the paraprofessional and protective equipment and restraints, because they kept slapping and punching their own head and face. I'm not going to tell you protective equipment isn't sometimes required, because sometimes it very much is for the kid's own safety. It's probably a miracle I'm alive on more than just one occasion. Okay? Let's just put it there. But that doesn't mean we need to be excluding the part of this where we are diving into what the triggers are. Not just by means of observation, but by communicating with said student. Now, I know because I've had those parents come to my office, but what about the nonverbals? They can't tell me what's wrong. Karen, she's telling you what's wrong right now. It's not our fault that we may be communicating in a way that most people don't understand. Okay? But what I became good at, I felt like a Rosetta Stone for neurotypical people. But I had a way to kind of explain a little bit, at least from my own observation and interacting with said kid alone in my office, as at least what seemed to appear to go along. And a lot of these kids do have other forms of communication. In this case, they had a little picture book with them. And they just kind of pulled it out, and while I asked questions, they would start pointing. Yeah, you can do that. Crazy, right? Yeah. You can't just say, well, here's the protective equipment. We have this one paraprofessional that can help keep you restrained if you get out of control. But still, no one's actually doing their full homework. So once again, why are we shocked that it's not working? It's like when you used to turn in homework to your teacher that was incomplete or didn't show the work. Same thing. If you do not address the trigger, the behavior will remain. You could torture us every day for the rest of our lives. The minute that threat of abuse is gone and we're able to be left alone, at some point, guess what's coming back? You're leaving the trigger there. Well, they can mask. Everything's fine now. Yeah, it's obviously not. It's very simple. Let's continue on, shall we? During this time, SAS was placed on a variety of potent medications. As we've already seen throughout this lengthy, nonsensical document, good over half of those medications may not even necessarily have anything to do with the diagnosis that's up for discussion. They say a whole lot of medications, very strong. Bro, half of those have to do with epilepsy. But psychotropic. Did I stutter? Yeah. You'll have to forgive me if I don't buy that. Although I am relieved they didn't try to list a bunch of drugs again. Hopefully maybe somebody finally caught on that those of us who work in the field who can read those drugs know what they're actually used for. Therefore, it is not going to help your argument whatsoever. Alright, folks. Well, anyways, we are going to go ahead and close out on this one. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time, so please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do hope you have a good one. Now if you excuse me, it is Thursday, which means the main bathroom needs to be cleaned within an inch of its life. I will see if I have enough energy for a couple of videos after this. Either way, thank you guys. I appreciate it. You all have a good one. Bye-bye now.